that the couple told me that the director of the first clinic that they went to, the not so good one, this is something that this is a story that she would tell some of the surrogate mothers about this great sort of miracle that happens where there is a woman that carries a child for another character. And she sort of used religion, I suppose, to make out that they were doing something holy, something wonderful, something miraculous for somebody else. So I just thought that was quite an interesting aspect of sort of selling the job to a surrogate mother, and also, I guess, making them feel less burdened about what they were doing. Because you have to remember, for a lot of the surrogate mothers, they have to keep what they're doing secret from the rural communities they're coming from, because there's a great deal of stigma attached to what they're doing. So, for a lot of the women, even though you're financially being rewarded, the social fallout, if other people were to find out, is considerable. So there was a lot of secrecy about the process for some of the surrogate mothers.
Well, in the context of how touching we are right now in India about any comment about mythology or even this passage, it says, Master G seemed to favor any story that warned girls about bad behavior and the consequences of disobeying their men. Sita, kidnapped by the demon Ravan, after stepping out of the golden circle of protection drawn for her by her husband Lord Ram, was one of his favorites. Yet one story had stuck with her. How could it not? That doctor woman had recited it to all the Hindu women who entered her doors. Surrogacy is even blessed by a holy book. You have heard about Lord Krishna's own brother Balaram. He was transferred from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini to ensure his safe birth. When Mala had asked why Dr. Pasi had given her an impatient look, you say, Dr. Pasi, look it up, she said, and remind yourself that what you are doing is approved by the gods. I hope we won't have protests on the streets about a fairly innocuous reference, which they were all to read. But you have woven in a lot of this mythology. There is also common what Mala experiences, what she expresses, is very different from the sophisticated world that Shobhaa comes from, and of course with Toby, it's a different relationship altogether. And towards the end, when the parents are brought back to live with the family, and the narrative, the characters say they were finally home. So I wanted to ask you, what is home? Not where is home?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned the parents, actually, because that subplot is all about that question, what is home? Shama's parents, who live at the bottom of her garden, it's almost a joint family. The subplot is that they bought a retirement flat in Dindi and foolishly allowed some of their relatives to live in it, and you can guess what happened next. The relatives don't leave it, and you follow their fortunes as they go in and out of the Indian judicial system and the courts, trying to get this property back. And I wanted to very much include this as a subplot in the book, firstly because I think it was such an interesting way of exploring what home meant to that generation. My parents' generation, who always thought they would retire to India, sent money back to India in preparation for their retirement, only to have all of those dreams broken, and to find that at the end of the day, that wasn't going to happen. They were going to spend their old age in a foreign country. Home had become something different. And also because that storyline was directly influenced by something that happened in my own family. And I can truly say it broke my father's heart, that somebody of his blood would put money and greed before a relationship. And certainly to my parents, they did get their flat back, but by the time they got it back, they were both too ill and old to enjoy it, and they had spent all those years fighting a completely pointless court case. And it's a very, very big issue for NRIs. It's a very, very common thing. And I've had so much reaction to that subplot from NRIs than I have about the surrogacy. Actually, I've written so many people that said that's happened to my parents. But I thought it was a very interesting contrast that you have the grandparents who think of returning home and then find out that home is something different. And then you have the third generation, Sharma's daughter Dara, who begins to see her future as back in India, a country that she doesn't know and has never been to. And that is actually happening. I've seen a lot of third generation kids who really don't know the country that well, whose relationship is much more remote, who are increasingly seeing the opportunities in India and are coming over and loving it.
You have brought in Nirbhaya towards the end of the book, and the last few powerful pages are about the rape which not just shocked India, but was a defining moment in raising awareness and consciousness of what was so terribly wrong, not just in India but across the world. So how did you fit in Nirbhaya into this narrative and why?
Well, the book is set in 2012 deliberately because I felt that that was such a defining moment, as you say, for so many of us. It's not that the violence against women has not been going on for years, decades, centuries, and it somehow became immune to the everyday brutality of it. There was something about the brutality of this case that was enough to bring India out onto the street, and not just people here, but all over the world. We were on the streets in London, in Paris, in the States, everywhere around the world. There was something about this case that made people go, enough is enough, we really need to look at this issue together. And what I found very heartening was that it was men and women side by side on the street, and I thought that was one of the most positive things I've ever seen. And it also, for me, it did link in very much with the surrogacy debate, because I think what I've tried to do through the book is look at the issue of who owns a woman's body and the ownership of women's bodies. And for me, that event certainly made that very starkly.
We have time to take questions from the audience, and why don't we start it off with a question from you?
Actually, we were talking about how surrogacy is such an important and last and desperate attempt. So just through your research and whatever journey you took, do you think adoption was ever considered and dropped, or was it never an issue? It was my child, so it has to be surrogacy. So it's not a question of having a child. Is that what drives people?
And that's a very good question. In fact, certainly in the book, Sharma and Toby have looked at that option, and I don't know if it's an issue here, but certainly the issue in Britain is that the adoption waiting lists are very, very long. It can take years if you want to adopt a baby. If you want to adopt an older child, there are many, many older children, many of whom have obviously significant problems because they've had such a hard start. But for people who want a baby, you could be waiting years. And at 48, there is a cut-off point for adoption. So for them, the options were very limited.
Another comment to make on the part that she read out was about people, surrogacy went wrong and they wanted to disown the child. We don't bring it out so much in the open, but parents who have handicapped children, mentally handicapped children, and also have a normal child, it's a very, very hard thing for them. And there are an equal number of them who will give up the mentally handicapped child compared to the normal one. Whereas it's the reverse is also true, that the handicapped child is taken care of much more. So it's not only about surrogacy. I think it's about if something went wrong, even with the woman's womb, which was her own, she might, or her family might, disregard that flawed production.
Just those two words, flawed product. They really shocked me when I read those two words. It's like, God, to look at a life, a human life as a product, a flawed product, not a perfect product. Either ways, it's
when you go in for cloning, when you go in for artificial insemination, when you're going to go online to get what you want, you just need to be a product. It's heartbreaking because people who want the baby still want the baby. But the method by which they have to go to will commercialize and commoditize everything.
there's a question to this second row.
I just had a statement and a question. One that I had a question about how to write about the research. And I just wanted to add that there's been quite a lot of academic literature and research on surrogacy right now. Huge amount of anthropological literature, like a lot of work that has gone on, which brings out multiple sides of surrogacy beyond the issue of stigma. So there are things going on which are, in different parts of India contextualized and all of that. So I just wanted to raise that. And the second question I had, which also Professor Lohia raised, is that while surrogacy has been quite critically being looked at, the issue of adoption is generally seen as a good thing across the world, generally. Now, in Britain, we know there's been increased adoption in the recent years, which activists who are critical of adoption also refer to it as forced removals, in terms of how large number of babies from poorer people are being removed from hospital beds. At one level, that. And second level, if you look at international adoption, various adoptees who have been adopted into Europe, North America, the issue, this is a very emotive topic, and I'm sure it touches many people's words. It's not to negate people who have adopted, but the process itself has come under much more critical interrogation than along with the surrogacy debate. So I just wondered the position you have around surrogacy, if you have any position around international adoption debate itself.
My position on adoption and surrogacy.
So I thought that you had a position around international adoption.
International adoption I know much less about, I have to be honest. I certainly think in terms of surrogacy, what I really wanted to do was leave the reader with questions rather than coming down on one side or the other. I mean, you'll see when you read the book that it's not the ending you expect. And while there is a child at the end, I don't want to give too much away, but it's certainly not the ending you expect. So I suppose what is important for me, because I'm a writer, not a politician, is to find the human story behind the statistics. It's very easy to look at a piece of paper and say, this is successful, look at the success rate, we have percentages here, that's very good. As an artist, what I'm interested in, what is the emotional cost of going through something like either adoption or surrogacy? Really, what does that mean to a human being? What does that mean to a couple? What does that mean to the woman that carries a baby and then has to give it away? I mean, that's what I wanted to explore. And I think whenever we look at issues like that, it's very easy to lose sight of the fact behind the statistics there are people and there are children. Real children.
Yeah? Thank you. Very short observation on something Anuradha said and a question. You talked about people, even people with disabled, abandoning them. I don't know if there's anyone from Indian Institute of Cerebral Palsy here, but you know through Manovikas, you've had experience, Anu. It is a study that says that it is more in the upper classes that the shame of disability.
That is the shame of disability, but you must understand a woman or a set of parents, what are the other parameters they go with when they want to abandon something. So it's not trivial.
What I was just saying is that the surprising thing is that the less privileged,
of course,
and the more deprived are far more accepting and willing to bring up that child, which I think we seriously need to look at. But the question is, it's really a question of, I think, business ethics. Why is it that people from abroad come to India? Obviously, the cost of surrogacy is low. And when Shobha and when you talked about norms being set by the government, uh, America Gandhi, big trial, whatever, shouldn't it be an international norm that if there is surrogacy, the same value should be given to that woman because the pangs of separation, the going through the birth. What are your views about that?
Yes, I did say previously that there needs to be an international surrogacy worldwide agreement. I mean, either that or you ban it completely, but you can't have this halfway house where you have one system in one country, one paid system in one country, one set of regulations in another. And the very simple reason that people come to India is it's cheaper than anywhere else. It's not only cheaper, but also it's less legally fraught in terms of the surrogate wanting access to the child afterwards. Because in India, the surrogate presently, the surrogate signs away every single legal right. Even at 18, that child cannot trace the mother. Whereas in other countries, they can. So, financially and legally, that's why people come to India.
Question there?
Yeah. Meera, your Anita and I had gone into the area, or at least brought home to me the question of identity. Identity with the culture, with the country, with home. Do you enter another level of identity question in this book with surrogacy?
Well, I guess, I mean, I've only written 3 books, but I guess all 3 of them have reflected this sort of stage of life that I've been interested in. I mean, Only Family was about childhood. Life is Noha, he was about juggling motherhood and children. And this book is about the woman at the end of her fertility who's going into almost her 50s and having to confront the fact that is she now, what is her use now? She's an infertile woman, especially when she has a partner who's 20 years younger than her and obviously wants to be a father. And so I suppose I tend to follow the stories that are reflecting the issues that tend to be buzzing around my head and the heads of the dear women friends I have, because we talk about all these things and keep each other sane while we're doing it. So I mean, I have to say I never set out with any particular agenda in any book I've ever written. I never think I want to write about and tell people about. I always start with a character. I start with a character, a story or a situation that gives you that tingle at the back of your neck where you go, I know this woman, I know these women, I know where the story's going to go. I think whatever politics there are, I don't even think about when I'm writing it. The politics comes through the characters, not the other way around.
There's an interesting comment that I will say in the book again, where it was not entirely the end of the book, where Shama is asking herself, wondering about marriage and about rivalry, and that she never anticipated, you can anticipate another woman being a rival, but she, at this stage in her life, figures that there are different kinds of rivals, like boredom, wrinkles, and a lack of a sex drive.
I'm not talking from personal experience, obviously. Well, yes, I mean, I think these are all challenges and issues that all women face as they age. I mean, there's that fear of becoming invisible, and it's something that a lot of women, I've talked to women friends, as you get older, you're used to walking down the street and you suddenly realise that anyone that's looking is looking at the woman who's 30 years younger right behind you, and it's oh, okay, I am actually invisible, but it's happened. But I think what I find very encouraging, and what I want to explore through Shama and her very vibrant girlfriends in the book, is how we are redefining ageing. And I love that, because for our mother's generation, 50 was, well, it's time to put your slippers on and sit on the sofa and go, hey, your life's over. This is not happening anymore. There's a whole raft of dynamic, beautiful, energetic, forward-thinking, young-thinking women starting their 50th year and onwards. that are really pushing the boundaries, and I hope making society really look at what older women need. We certainly aren't invisible, but also giving our daughters incredible role models for when they age. I hope so.
Do you think men look over their shoulders to see whether women are eyeing a younger man right behind them, or do they never really see themselves the way women see themselves? Do men see themselves? Men of a certain vintage, do they actually ever believe that they're old?
I also get the impression men think they just get better looking as they get older. By the way they pat themselves in the mirror, go, yeah, pretty good. Well, I suppose there's a different. I don't know. I mean, I guess men aren't judged in the same way. You know, they don't have the same condition. And certainly if you look at the media, what we see in the media images, let's take Bollywood as a very good example. You know, it's perfectly acceptable for a 50-year-old actor to be dancing around with a 30-year-old girl and for her to be his love interest.
21-year-old girl now.
Whereas if you tried to do that the other way around, there'd be scandal. You know? Then it becomes Mrs. Robinson in The Graduate. It's not seen as normal.
But you don't see younger girls checking out guys, which they didn't in your mother's time, my time. We didn't so blatantly check out guys to see what's the marketplace like, what are my options, walking into a bar or something. Do you see that happening or not? Shouldn't that be making men insecure?
It probably is. I mean, certainly for the generation coming up, talking to my, the younger generation, that the whole dating arena has changed beyond belief, and I think you're right. There's equality and insecurity going on probably now. But this is what happens when culture shifts. It's inevitable. We go through these changes because we are re-looking at how we deal with marriage and relationships, and with that comes a lot of reassessing of stuff. But I do think it will benefit all of us if we see aging as a positive thing, men and women.
We'll take two questions, the last final questions, please.
I'm actually going back to a point Auntie made about class and about class and also about the surrogates boom. I mean, we've been talking about law and all of these things in India. Do you think it's really easy in India to have lower income group surrogates because these women are seen to only be important for their home?
This is to me. Well, yeah, of course. I don't think I came across one surrogate who wasn't a desperately poor woman. I think it's the only thing they have to sell that is of value. None of them are educated as far as I could see, and the amount of money, which is not very much to somebody earning a Western wage packet, is absolutely life-changing for them. So it's everything about yes, that they have nothing else of value that they are able to offer that will bring them so much money in such a relatively short time.
So can we equate it to slavery? As we talk about slavery and all.
Well, there is a moment actually in the book where Mala is standing near the clinic and she looks across the waste ground and she sees a woman who's clearly a prostitute who is standing watching her. And there's a shared moment between the women, and Mala is thinking, we're actually not so different because we're both selling the only thing we have to sell.
Final question, please. From that side, from a gentleman in the audience, we've only had ladies asking questions. Anyone? If not, thank you very much. It's been a fantastic audience. It's been a terrific session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shobhaa. And thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, Shobhaa, Meera, and all of you for making this a fantastic session for all of us. We'd like to thank Victoria Memorial Hall and the Chair.